So James Harden's having a day. Went to the strip club. Then he couldn't attend practice because of protocols to thing that YouTube might demonetize me for. And then his coach said, "You're going to have to ask him when he gets here in terms of Harden's commitment to the Rockets." It doesn't look awesome for a guy who has already made it pretty obvious that he doesn't want to be in Houston. And then he posted an Instagram story that was the, cringe emoji, I guess you can say. And I know I've used this phrase before, and it's actually become a pun given that they traded for John Wall, but the writing's on the wall, man. If James Harden had his way, he would not be on the Rockets right now. And for a team that has how much time until the season actually starts to try to build up something of a continuity on the court, it would help if the guy who's going to handle the ball the most and take the most shots and dictate everything is actually there. Now, the kind of funny thing, it's not funny for Rockets fans, none of the situation is, but in terms of the strict basketball stuff, you could argue that Harden doesn't actually need to practice with anyone if his play style is going to keep up from the last few seasons. I mean, does it really matter if he has continuity when it's the other four guys' job to just stand there? But especially because you'd think Steven Silas wants to run actual stuff with this team. I mean, he came from Dallas, and they ran a million pick and rolls, which is at least more complex than ISOs, that you need Harden out there. And the fact that he's not there, and now his teammates have to answer for it, and that whole spiel, it's not great. And we'll see how long Harden stretches this out for. I mean, now, given that he was in a strip club, maybe that messes up when he can actually be around other guys like that, although they're expecting him to do an individual workout. But, I mean, you got DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall there, two guys who are not exactly quiet. And is it possible that those two are going to get kind of pent up with James Harden after a while and start yelling at him? Maybe. I mean, that's basically what happened with Chris Paul. It would have happened with Dwight Howard if Dwight or Harden weren't passive-aggressive guys. So if Harden is already going to be rubbing teammates the wrong way, then, well, that's just great for a franchise that was trying to do everything it could to hold on to Harden. I mean, look, is it possible that he could just bounce back from this and be all in on the team whenever he's allowed to be there? Sure, but how much longer do we think this is really going to go? I mean, the last one that I can remember of a star player wanting to be traded and the sort of cloud that it put over the team the whole year was Melo on the Nuggets before he eventually went to the Knicks. And it was just kind of a story all season. Every single question to Melo was basically, do you want to be here? Do you want to get traded? And then that whole thing. And if that's happening in Houston, then they've got no chance to win this season, because that's just the sort of thing that just grates on you day after day after day. Now, if Harden's going out and just dropping 35 points a game, then perhaps Houston could still have a playoff thing or whatever, but it's not looking great. If you told me that Harden was all in, I'd probably predict Houston for, I don't know, 4th seed, give or take. But with this, I got to think, are they even going to be a playoff team? I mean, if Harden gets moved, they're definitely not a playoff team, unless the guy they're getting back is Ben Simmons pretty much. And I guess that's the other thing to think about. I mean, I've talked about the Nets and the Sixers, as everybody has for Harden. There really just might not be another team like that, which is kind of wild to say given how good Harden is, but for whatever reason, it just seems like those are the two teams that have been talked about the most amongst people on the inside. Although we did hear the thing about the Warriors, that's true. I mean, Wiseman, the Wolves pick, future Warriors picks. I don't know if it's really enough unless Wiseman ends up being really, really good pretty early on. And I've said this before, but I'll just say it again. How much power does Harden really have in a trade? Can he basically just pick whatever team he wants to go to? He's already attempted to do that pretty much. Or would another team just be like, we don't really care if you didn't want to come here. We're going to trade for you anyway. Because, I mean, the problem with the Brooklyn trade is that it's simply not good enough. Dinwiddie, LeVert, Allen, 5 picks spread out through pick swaps and everything. It's not enough for James Harden. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. You need a real thing back. Now, Brooklyn might have enough assets to get a thing from another team and then get like a 3-teamer involved for Harden, I guess. to steal a Bill Simmons idea, it was getting Denver involved, and MPJ ends up in Houston, and the Nets send some of their stuff to the Nuggets, some other stuff to the Rockets, that sort of thing. But even with all that being said, if Philly puts in Ben Simmons, that's it. That's the best offer, and nobody's touching that. So that's kind of it. I'm not even going to go much longer on this one. James Harden is out here, man, when he should be at practice.